Chapter 1. When Shane Hall opened the front door, the first thing to catch his eye was the Glock 9mm handgun resting on the end table. Katie Ward sat on the couch next to it, her straight brown hair spilling down the sides of her small, round face onto her slight breasts, her forearms resting on her legs. Wearing shorts, a sleeveless white blouse, and sandals, she frowned at the flat-panel TV. There was no sound coming from it. The living room was quiet. Shane stepped inside and eased the door shut. Katie continued to stare in silence at the TV. "What's wrong?" Shane said. "Why do you have your gun out?" She turned her head, aimed her green eyes at him, and blinked. "I heard someone walk up to the front door, but they didn't knock. I thought they might be getting ready to break in, so I ran upstairs to get the gun. By the time I got back down here, they were gone. I looked through the peephole, then threw the door open. There was a notice taped to it." Shane frowned. "What kind of notice?" Katie got up and walked into the kitchen. She came back with the slip of paper, stopped in the middle of the living room, and held it out to him. He walked over to her, his eyes fixed on the paper. Along the top, he could see it was from the sheriff's department. The second line, in large bold letters, read, "Notice to vacate." "What the hell?" Shane said. "We're not even behind on the rent yet." He took it out of her hand and read it. "Judgment debtor," he said. "This is for the landlord." "And anybody living here," Katie said. "It looks like this house is going into foreclosure." "Jesus," Shane muttered. "That's all we need, on top of all this other shit." He looked down at her. "I'll call the bastard, right now." "I already did." She crossed her arms. "What did he say?" Her face began to flush with anger. "Nothing. His phone's been disconnected. No referral to a new number." Shane clenched his teeth and nodded. "It figures. Well, I'm going over there and talking to him right now." "It's 10:30. He's probably at work." Shane shook his head and turned his eyes back to the notice. "Maybe," he said, "wherever that is. Probably in another state, the son of a bitch." "We should have gotten more information on him and this property before we moved in. 8 months we've been here. He must have stopped making payments long before we signed the lease. That's fraud." Shane blew out a breath and nodded. "I'll tell him that. If we don't get our deposit and final month's rent payment back from him, I'll file criminal charges against him, have his ass thrown in jail." "I'm sure that'll never happen." Katie uncrossed her arms, reached out her hand, and touched Shane's forearm with her fingertips. "How did your interview go?" Shane snorted. "It didn't." "Oh no. That bad? What happened?" "There was no interview," Shane said. "All the interviews were canceled after we all sat there for an hour." "Why didn't they call you?" Shane shrugged. "Apparently the hiring manager didn't find out until he got to work this morning. Him and 20% of the company. They all got canned. The administrative assistant told us they lost a big order from their largest customer last week, so now they don't need more people, they need less. Amazing. It can take these high-tech companies 6 months to hire people, but only a few days to get rid of them." "It doesn't happen that quickly," Katie said, frowning. "Corporate had to have been working on it. These companies are so screwed up, sometimes they'll be interviewing for job openings that lower-level managers were never told they had to cancel." "Yeah," Shane said. "What a mess." Katie's eyes welled up with tears. "Shane, what are we going to do? We're almost broke. We can't live on unemployment, and it won't last forever anyway. Where are we going to live?" "I've been thinking about that," Shane said. He put his hands in his back pockets and gazed into Katie's eyes. "Even without this eviction, we would have gotten behind on the rent payments in a couple of months. I was thinking maybe Stuart and Amy. They don't have any extra room. Sure, they'd let us camp out in their living room temporarily, but this is a long-term problem." She brought her hands up and shook them in front of her. "We could both be out of work for a long time, maybe years, and none of our friends have any extra room. I was thinking about